This is the Baker test, the first underwater nuclear detonation in history. The setup. July of 1946 at Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. The US government had anchored a ghost fleet of 95 vessels in the lagoon. The ships had been loaded with various materials, equipment, and even live animals. The main purpose of the test was to understand the effects of nuclear weapons on naval vessels, equipment, and personnel. The blast. On the morning of July 25th at approximately 8:35 a.m. local time, the 23-kiloton nuclear bomb was detonated 90 feet below the surface of Bikini Lagoon. The intense explosion created a phenomenon scientists referred to as the cauldron. The bomb's shockwave forced water upwards, forming a massive dome or bubble under the lagoon. This bubble reached the surface in a towering column, with an estimated 7.5 million tons of water being launched into the air. As this huge column of water came crashing back down, it formed a giant wave and powerful currents, immediately sinking 5 of the warships positioned around the blast zone, and irreparably damaging a further 15. The water contained so much radioactive material that a base surge formed, an eerie radioactive mist that spread outwards and coated nearby ships and islands with radioactive particles. The aftermath. After the test, cleanup crews were tasked with scrubbing the ships extensively using soap and water in an attempt to remove the radioactive debris. The sailors were essentially asked to scrub the decks. At the time, there was limited knowledge around the effects of radiation and radioactive fallout on human beings, so the crews were not wearing any form of effective protection. Geiger counters were used extensively during the cleanup. However, they were not effective in accurately determining the levels of radiation in the area. In particular, they were not able to detect the presence of the large amounts of plutonium. Eventually, a man by the name of Dr. Stafford Warren began to realize the dangers of the cleanup effort. He pled with the US Navy to evacuate the area, but initially, they wouldn't listen. The X-ray. Dr. Warren finally managed to persuade the US Navy by pulling a fish from the lagoon and placing it onto a photographic plate. The fish had absorbed so much plutonium radiation that when photographed, it took its own X-ray. This is known as an autoradiograph and can otherwise be thought of as the worst way to take a selfie. Conclusion. The aftermath of the Baker test and the subsequent cleanup efforts at Bikini Atoll have left a profound legacy. The environmental contamination, health risks to those involved, and the impact on the indigenous people of Bikini Atoll have served as key lessons in the devastating consequences of nuclear weapons testing. Despite the cleanup efforts, the area remains a haunting reminder of the power of nuclear explosions and the lasting impact they can have on both people and the environment.